the best swing squat in existence. So check this out. You can see a video I made a while ago comparing the traditional swing squat to the pendulum squat, pros and cons. Since then, I've modified both machines. And today I'm going to show you the modified swing squat. This is the Randy Coyle model swing squat. So you can see from my initial review, there's a couple issues with the original machine. One of them was not ability to have a counterweight, like the pendulum squat where you can actually assist at the lower angle. The other one was, for me, it just didn't stimulate quads enough. So I kind of did a couple things to help that situation. So I'm going to show you a couple things that I did. Most important thing I did, I think, was modify the foot plate. The foot plate was just flat, like the middle, and really was mostly just hip flexion dominant. So what I did was I made it longer and angled it at the bottom, and I angled it at the top. The other thing I did, as you'll see, is I added multiple, this is the original horn. I added a horn here, horn there, and horn there. So what you're gonna notice with the original horn, as this moves down, it gets a little easier and it gets harder at the top. But part of the issue with the swing squat in general is it's too heavy for a lot of people that aren't super strong or strong enough. And with these new horns, I'll show you how you can manipulate the strength curve. The other thing is I'm going to show you 5 different stances you can do to hit completely quads, completely glutes or adductors, or just a traditional squat with the modified foot plate. All right, so I'm just doing a warm-up set here. So you're going to see that top horn. I've got that original horn, the top horn. You'll see the top horn's easier to begin with, harder at the bottom. The middle horn there that's further away from the original horn is just a similar strength curve as the original, but easier. And then the furthest away weight horn kind of mimics the competition swing squat that Tyler Hobson is remaking now. The more weight is towards that furthest away horn, and then like near the handles there that you can see, the easier the movement. All right, so I'm going to show you 5 different stances. This is the first stance. This first stance, my feet are at the very bottom, near that added, extended, angled, lowered part of the foot plate. It really mimics the sissy squat. This is really a sissy squat. If you if you do a pendulum squat with a heel wedge, it feels exactly like a pendulum squat with a heel wedge. But the benefit of this is the longer arm of the swing squat is just more comfortable than the pendulum squat, in my opinion. And you're going to see as I do this movement, I've got 2 red Elite FTS bands as counterweights at the very bottom when I'm weakest. I find it hits perfectly. So the second stance is like if I'm doing heels elevated traditional squat. So it's definitely still quad dominant, but not as much as a swing squat. You're not getting quite as much knee flexion, but a ton of knee flexion still. And it really mimics like a heels up on a heel wedge traditional squat. So I kind of play around with where the weight is distributed among these 4 horns. Like I said, the further the weight is towards that top horn near the handle, the easier the movement. All right, so this really does give me a lot of quad stimulations. Not quite as hard as the sissy squat movement, but still hits it tremendously well. And it's just very, very smooth with these 2 Elite FTS bands helping me at the very bottom. Heavier bands, just a little too easy, but this is just perfect for that little help at the bottom. So the third stance is the traditional swing squat. This is how your feet would be on a traditional swing squat without this foot plate modification. Very much hip flexion dominant. You're still getting some quad, but it's very hip flexion, hip extension dominant movement. So the fourth foot position, I'm putting my toes up on that angled up part of the foot plate. The cool thing is when you do that, you get some pre-stretch in the hamstrings. So very adductor and glute dominant still, but definitely a different stimulus than when your feet are flat. You can see from this angle, you can get much deeper, obviously, in the squat, and it's more of almost a straight horizontal squat at the very bottom when your feet are high, which is definitely glute biased. So the fifth stance is with my feet all the way up and angled out. This almost feels like an RDL or a goblet squat. It's a really cool stimulus. I mean, honestly feels like you got a weight in between you and you're doing an RDL or a goblet squat just in a swing squat machine. But the cool thing is you can see I can get all the way, my rear end can hit all the way to the bottom of that foot plate when your feet are super high. So the cool thing with so many weight horns is there's an infinite number of drops that you can do. So I literally took the weight from that middle horn and put it at the end horn, furthest away, which makes the movement easier. Like I said, that end horn, if you put all the weight there, having played around with this, it feels like the competition squat. If you see people use that Tyler Hobson squat, you see they can do a ton more weight than a traditional swing squat, and that's because of where the weight is placed. So it makes the movement easier. And it makes it so my kids or people that are not quite as strong, and I'm still getting there myself, can use more weight on it and can just manipulate the strength curve. But those of you who use this machine know it's a very humbling machine to begin with, as is the pendulum squat. But just that gives you much more variety with where the weight is heavy and light, depending on which horn you use and how much weight and what proportion of the weight and percentage of the weight you put on there. So that's the cool thing, just infinite variety with these variations. So the best swing squat in existence, I believe. Now, I've actually got another swing squat I've ordered and it's coming. It may be as good. We'll see. But as of now, very hard to beat that movement. It's just perfect now with the tweaks that I've made. Nathan Clark, Domination Nation Gym. Appreciate your support. Have an amazing day.